Who is the Lord of Death? Is the Lord of Death Azrael of the Abrahamic tradition? The angel who God has blessed to come down to the earth and basically take mortal souls across that gateway between this realm and other realms where mortal souls will exist from here on out, according to the Abrahamic tradition, where they will either experience eternal punishment or eternal glory in heaven. Azrael is said to exist in the third heaven, and it is not the highest heaven, but the third heaven, especially in occult texts. Now, Azrael is said to have as many eyes as there are human beings on this planet. Is the Lord of Death Hades? Well, in the Greek tradition, the Lord of Death, death itself, is Thanatos, but Hades is the Lord of the Dead. So is Hades, who exists in that realm below all things, where it can go as far as the terrible, excruciating pain of Tartarus, or this kind of purgatory that exists just above it. And some people say the Elysian Fields also exist in Hades, though others say it is above Hades, and outside of both Hades the place and Hades the god's domain. Is it Hela, goddess of death, in the northern European tradition of the Vikings, the Asgardian understanding? Is Hela, the daughter of Loki, half dead, half alive, ruling over her domain, in that place where consciousness is recycled? Is she a goddess of death? Is Baron Samedi, the Loa, the spirit in the Vodou tradition, is he the one who digs our graves and allows us to die? For it is said that if Baron Samedi does not dig your grave, then you cannot die. You will not be able to die because he has not dug your grave. This is very symbolic, and this can be very open to interpretation. But is Baron Samedi the Loa of death? Or is the Lord of Death Yama? In Hinduism, the Lord of Death, being Yama, is the first soul to have died. He's the first man, I guess you could say, who died. Once the earth realized that all of the beings that were basically being nourished by her and living on her, she could not maintain them. Once she realized that, she begged Brahma, the creator, to come up with a solution because she could not bear all of these children. So Brahma is the creator. She asked Brahma to come up with a solution. And Brahma decided that death would be instituted. Now, was it only Brahma's decision, or was it Vishnu's and Shiv's, or the spirit beyond creation? In Hinduism, it seems that, as far as the Lord of Death is concerned, Brahma basically made people able to die, and Yama was the first to die. So he had the title of King or Lord of Death. But no matter which of these you believe in, or even if you don't believe in any ideas about death as a being, as a conscious force that does its job, there is a constant factor that basically transcends spiritual traditions and religious traditions, and that is that death isn't corruption. Death is an ending of a life, and a life that may exist in other places, or it may go on to another life, but it is the period at the end of the sentence that is our lives. So death is more of a functionary lord or god or goddess, and not a being who basically forces people to die. The Lord of Death, or the Goddess of Death, or the God of Death, or the Loa of Death, they all have this one thing in common. They follow the rules that exist, and they perform their function of carrying or allowing people to die and taking record of where they should go based on their merits, honors, or demerits, or good karma or bad karma, or how they behaved in relationship to their ancestors, or how they behaved and died in battle, or if they died in battle, or they just died of natural causes of old age. All these things are taken into account by all these beings. Well, for the Greeks, Thanatos was death, but Hades had more of an account for where somebody should go. But regardless, death is always a functionary aspect of existence. Death isn't the corruption that corrupts souls to do bad things, or he or she who forces people to die or makes them die. Death is a functionary and vital aspect of life, because without death, life would have no meaning. Life would have no purpose. Without death, life would not have the significance and value that it does always, in every culture, in every tradition, even if you don't believe in anything supernatural or godly or divine at all. Death is that transitory period where we always are sure we must go one day, that we must pass through. And it is a phase. And for many cultures, most cultures, it is just that, a phase. It doesn't have any bearing on where you go in the afterlife. Though a lot of these beings are said to have, the ability to choose where you go, or basically judge you based on what you did in life. They judge without bias, they judge without hate or without love. It is always a mathematical equation when it comes to death. And I think that this truth remaining, we can see that death is hinted at as being non-biased and non-judgmental. And all of these clues attribute to the idea that we have choice in life. And besides the fact that we have choice, there is always one constant truth, that we all will die. So, what do you believe about death? How do you think that death plays a role in where we go after we die? Do you think that we go anywhere when we die, or is death the only constant? Just as life is a constant, is death also the only constant, regardless of choice, or with choice? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to shoot any comments in the comment section below, questions, or you think that some of my analysis of these different beings was incorrect. Just whatever you want to put down in the comment section, feel free to. Like this video if you thought this was interesting at all. And I'm now on Patreon. www.patreon.com/darkrealist. Dark Realist, capital D, capital R, one word. And I would love to see a lot more patrons come to my Patreon page that I started not just a few days ago. And I give more personal videos there, ones that I do not share on YouTube. So if you want to have access to those videos, go to Patreon, and I only require $1 a month. If you want to give more, feel free to, because I would love to produce even better videos for you, and for that I need a little bit more cash to afford some of the resources. But regardless, feel free to check out my Patreon page, and thank you very much for watching. And are you afraid to die?